Okay, this is the Village of Peotone Board meeting for April 13 of 2015. We begin by rising to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Riker.
Here.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Wicker.
Here.
Mr. Hack.
Here.
Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Forsythe.
Here. All right, let the record show that all trustees are present. We have a quorum. We officially conduct business. First order of which is the approval or correction of the minutes of the March 23rd, 2015 Village of Peotone Board meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented or correct them.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second. Motion by trustee Hupkey, second by trustee Forsythe to approve the March 23rd, 2015 Village of Peotone Board minutes as presented. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
Motion carries. The minutes become the official record. Accounts payable and payroll. We have, trustees, in your packet, the payroll for the pay period ending March 28th of 2015 in the amount of $44,846.59. Under accounts payable from the general fund, bills totaling $28,425.06. Under the water and sewer fund, bills totaling $26,264.93. Grand total for the general fund and water and sewer fund bills is $54,689.99. We'll entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Motion by trustee Wicker, seconded by trustee Riker to pay the bills as presented. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries and the bills paid as noted. We come to public comment time for any non-agenda item. Can I understand?
Yes, I do.
Refresh everybody so it goes on the record. You are,
I'm Lisa Fredericks. I'm in the Fire Pit Bar and Grill.
thank you.
I did not realize that I had to get approval to have a poker run come to the place. As of the 26th, there's, I was planning on having a poker run from the Ridgewood for the veterans to come through. I won't be completely open that day. I'm still going through the soft openings, the trial runs, and all that other stuff at that time. But I will have all the approvals to open by that time,
It's the 26th of April, correct?
of April. So I'm coming to ask you guys if I can do the poker run.
Okay, the official, we have to have an action item listed on the agenda in order to officially act on it. However, we can discuss it at this time. And part of the discussion that needs to take place has to do with the rules that apply to these things have changed considerably over the last 5 years or so, because they're particularly connected to the video gaming and stuff like, and basically the gaming rules. And do I go to you
Sure.
or the chief, or?
Okay. I'll
Explain, please.
I will speak briefly. Poker runs are paired up with raffles in the state law under the Raffles and Poker Runs Act. And what that act does is delegate to municipalities the ability to authorize poker runs and raffles within their communities. If you don't have an ordinance that says you can have it, then you can't have it. In Peotone's case, you do make an exception from your general prohibition on gambling for raffles and poker runs when they're conducted in accordance with the state act. And so you do have authorization in your code to allow poker runs that are conducted in conformance with the act. Now, one of the requirements seems to be that it be run by a charitable organization. Have you talked to the state about a license and such?
About getting a poker machines? Yeah.
No, poker run license.
Poker run license, no.
Because you have to have a state license.
You gotta have a state license to have
do a
people
poker
come
run.
through the poker.
Yeah.
Are you the stop, or are you running it?
I'm just a stop.
Oh, you're
That's
just
all
a
I am.
stop.
So somebody else is running it?
Okay.
I'm not running it,
So
someone else is
theoretically,
running
somebody's
it.
been to the state and has gotten
What
authorization.
group is the benefit for?
For the veterans.
Which
For
benefit?
the
veterans?
veterans of Peotone. It's from Ridgewood Group, and they do a lot of charitable things for the veterans, and I like doing things for veterans, so, I mean, this probably won't be the first time I'll come in front of you guys asking you to do charitable, charitable events, because I do think that we should do stuff like that. So, I mean, this is, it is a charity run, and maybe they're calling it a charity run now. I'm used to calling them poker runs, so.
A lot of, the last couple that I've been on, they've changed the dynamic of the poker run, so it didn't go against the state law, and that they didn't have to interfere with the code. So I'm not sure what the parameters of this one is, but the last couple that I've seen, they've kind of gone under the radar because they've changed what they do. It's not a true poker run anymore.
What do you plan to take place at your facility? What actually is going to happen at your facility?
They're just coming here and doing a stop, that's all they're doing. It's like, they have to go to each, like, 3 or 4 different places. I don't know if they give them a card for at the end of the poker, or the charitable run. I don't know exactly how they're doing that right now, because like you said, the laws have changed, and I do know that they have done things that they can't do that they used to do. And, or maybe they're getting stamps or something.
Last couple was just a stamp on a card.
Yeah, I mean, this is not run by someone who hasn't done this and that doesn't know what they're doing, they
Sure.
do.
Does that require authorization to have people stop at your facility and pick up a card?
What have you guys typically done with a raffle? When someone wants to do a raffle, do they come to the board? I mean, this is a little different than, because it's multi-location. Is it all within Peotone, or is it?
No,
Okay.
they're coming to Blarney
Yeah.
in Manhattan, and then they're going to my place, and then they go to Brian's place, and they end up at Ryan's in Frankfurt.
Sure.
Yeah, and usually the ending is where they do their raffles. They check your card, they see if it's been stamped, stuff like that. The stops are just a place from point A to point B to ride to.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we see if there's a consensus of the board that if anyone has any issue with this, feel free to speak. But assuming there's a consensus that they're okay with having this as a stop, we would just ask you to contact whoever's running it and have them contact George and show that they have the state license, and otherwise it should be
I
fine.
have no issue with it.
I have no issue with it.
Can I just interrupt? The raffles and the poker runs, the legislation says that the county can issue a permit.
Okay.
American Legion went to a raffle, and they get their permit from the county executive, who writes them out. They give so many for the organizations that ask. Your organization, because they're hitting all the places in Will County, they really need to see the county executive over in Joliet, because they have a process in place to get this permit. You don't have to go to the gaming commission because they allow the county to issue these type of permits, but they have to have all the guidelines that the law says. No longer can they allow the poker runs to establish. They gotta have a set path, who's gonna be involved, who's in charge, surety bonds. There's a lot more than just the benefit. They're not disclosing the benefit, but what happened is the laws changed, and they included motorcycle poker runs in the gamings. So the bars, you cannot be part of a poker run without the appropriate license or permission, because the liquor commission doesn't let you do that, because it's gaming, part of the gaming rules. So this opened up a thing, and all the poker run people, when they adopted this, they did change it to include a little more flexibility, where I think they let the county executive or the county issue a permit. Is that what you're also seeing, sir, from the village perspective?
I think the one thing they have to do is they have to call it a charity run
Right.
now.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah,
there-
and I do believe that's what it is.
Well, it is a
Says-
charity run because it can only be run for a charity.
It is run for a
I
charity.
mean, but it has to be established charity.
The Veterans Homes is established.
Well, it has to be established, not saying, well, all the proceeds are going to veterans. There's a whole multi-page, how they gotta do it. And this, I would say, the organization that's creating this, the motorcycle group, needs to see the county executive. I think it's $25 to get a raffle poker permit, and that really kind of meets the obligation.
Right, you're correct, Chief. It looks like the law was changed in June of 2014. And governing body of any county within the state may establish a system for licensing of organizations to operate poker runs. Okay, so, you know, this falls under the jurisdiction of Will County. And again, if this organization that is doing it has made the appropriate, has gotten the appropriate approvals from the county, they can show those to George, and then you can be a stop. But we need to establish that before, you know, before Peotone can let you be a stop, that it's okay with the county.
So the Ridgeland Group, and the county exec is very flexible. If you tell them what it's for, I mean, they go over there, but for instance, the Legion gets their raffles, they call them, and they get them, you can hold so many a year, by the way the law is written, for the poker runs. But it's an established form, so we let the county exec issue the permit, and we all recognize it. But it's, I think, $25 permit. And, you know, Larry Walsh, if you call his office and ask him, they'll tell you what you need. They're not that endeavor, you're not going to the State Gaming Commission trying to do an application about this big. I think it's just a one-pager to Larry Walsh. But you're limited, and that's the fastest way to get it, because you're going to bars in the county.
Okay.
And what can happen, and does happen, the liquor people show up.
It depends on how they're running it.
You're sacrificing your gaming machines,
If you're just stopping.
and you're also violating the Gaming Act, which is charitable games, if you're part of this and it doesn't have a permit process in place.
Right, and that could jeopardize your liquor license and everything else. So talk to the organizer and make sure.
It's easy to get a permit from the county.
Okay.
And it's not very, but you just have, somebody's gotta go to Joliet and see the county executive's office.
Well, I'm sure they already have.
Then they should provide you with a copy. Yes.
That's fine.
That would be
I can probably
perfect.
get a copy of that. I mean, they've been doing this for so many years, I'm sure they know
Well,
that there's,
people
and I
do
do
them.
know last year that a lot of talk was going on about this, where they had to call it a charity run now instead of doing this, and,
And you have to get the okay, no matter what you call it, because they're trying to mix and match. And when it comes to your establishment as a liquor license holder, it can also a lot of headaches for you, because the gaming people, i.e. the liquor people show up and see you're doing gaming.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
You don't want to have that. And now, they all screamed about it, but see, the old poker runs are over. The state now has a pre-established guideline for it. Now, I didn't write the legislation, and nobody did, but that's what the legislation is. So all the motorcycle people or the runs can scream, yell, holler, and say what's up. They did amend the law from the previous first draft. The poker run organizations went to them with, hey, we can't do this, and they amended the law that allowed the county executive, or the county, to issue the permits instead of the state gaming people. Is that correct? Is that how?
Yeah, that's how it looks like it reads right now, yes.
so as long as they have the proper permits.
County permit.
Okay.
And what's, you know, find out what the dynamic of this too. Again, if it's just a stop to get a drink and carry on, like on the map, they have specific stops, and all the raffling stuff is done at the end. Without doing the cards and all that stuff like that. You're not building your hand, it's not a true poker run. It's an actual charity raffle at the end, then it's just a stop. It's not, there's no gambling taking place.
If the permit has been issued by the county, are we involved in giving her authorization for the stop, or is that already authorized? In other words, provided the county
I
documents.
think Ridgewood's gotta give her the copy of theirs,
Right.
so she can participate, and all she's gotta do is get their copy of okay, and bring it to us so we can okay it.
Do we have to approve it as a board, or is it, I mean, do we have to okay it? I'm just.
Some of them in the past, if I may, we've had some runs, and they've, you know, Kankakee, down there, they have a big run down there at the
Justice.
Sportsman's.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have a big run every year for the charity, for the veterans.
And they let us know what's going on, and they make arrangements saying, hey, we're gonna stop here. And so we tell them where to park the cars or the motorcycles, so it's not restricting us. And, you know, usually, realistically, you don't get all, say there's 200 people riding. Yeah, that's a pretty good size ride. It could be more, depending on weather, but they all will show up at once, because they all sporadically start, and then they, you know, so I don't see the whole ensemble showing up at your place all at
No,
the same
because
time.
I'm second to last stop,
You know,
so.
so they'll be spread out all over the
Right.
countryside with breakdowns and everybody trying to get their bikes running for the season, like every motorcycle guy does. So it really isn't a problem for the board, as long as we are aware it's going on. That's the big question. If they got a county, okay, and we're aware it's going on.
Okay. Historically, I think we've done a special event permit or something related to things like this, because it is an
Yeah.
event, which gives us the paperwork and everything necessary. And we had taken a consensus of the board members, and I'm seeing everybody pretty much nod their head that they don't have any major objections to this.
None at all.
None at all.
Okay. So I think proceeding with that matter, getting the proper permitting or copies of that, being assured that that's all in place and provided along with the usual special event permit. And this is going to happen the day before or the 2 days before our next meeting.
Yeah, 26.
So, because I think we have a consensus here of the board members, we could do what we've done on occasion in the past, and that is basically, we can ratify the thing at the next meeting. However, we like to have everything well in advance.
I will get on the
This
phone
isn't-
to call
this is-
tonight.
Yeah, this
Get
is
it.
the first time you're trying anything like this.
Yes,
so-
this is, and it's a friend that's just trying to give us some advertisement, so.
Okay.
um,
And whatever information you can provide us about the event, so that we have a better understanding of who the sponsors are, where it's going, and
Okay,
how whatever they're doing kind of stuff.
sounds good. I'll get a route for you too,
Okay.
okay?
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, folks.
Anybody else for any non-agenda item?
Oh, wait a minute, one thing,
Okay.
I'm sorry. My husband just reminded me, I am having a soft opening and everyone.
You did
from the-
start off saying that.
More. Come here. This is you.
Just in the doorway.
I'd like to invite everyone to the soft opening on actually, it's that Sunday night. Inviting everyone from the board, and I'm inviting the police officers, so if you can pass the word.
Do we have to work?
No, this is for you to enjoy my place. I would like you guys to enjoy it, to see it before I open it up to the public.
Okay.
So everyone wants to come, you're welcome to come, and, oh, time. I'm opening at 4 to 10, I'm sorry.
So,
Okay.
the run itself was the 26th, which is
The
a
same day.
Sunday,
Yeah,
and the soft opening is the 26th.
yep.
Okay.
Yep, I'll have the run should be over with by 2 o'clock, 2:30, and then the soft opening starts at 4. Okay? Thank you, and I hope to see you there.
All right, thank you, Lisa. All right, once again, any further? All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda, we have chief's report, nothing to report. Okay, engineers report, updates on anything?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Moving on to new business. We have in here a request for a special event, an amplifier permit by Patricia Allen, and doesn't look like Patricia's here, but come on up to the microphone. Introduce yourself and.
Hi, I'm Tom Allen, Tricia's husband. She's still driving home right now. We'd like to apply for the amplifier permit. We'd like to have a block party, if possible. Partially block off each end of the street, which would be Glenview Lane from 207 north to 318 north.
Okay.
We have 8 total households. They're all going to be participating as well. And we have an EMT firefighter who also lives on the street, we're aware, that we have to keep and move off the streets fast if possible.
Yeah, you technically don't close the street off, you leave it open for emergency vehicles, kind of.
Right, well, just the horses on one side of the street, so
Yes.
if a neighbor has to come around it, they're able to drive through it. A full-size truck or so on.
Okay. And your amplifier, are you gonna have a band or something?
No, just big speakers, I mean, house speakers. I mean, it's not gonna be that loud, and we're gonna have it off by 10 o'clock at the very latest. So
Okay.
it's just all of us neighbors getting together. We wanna block the street off so the kids have a nice right of way to ride their bikes on, and that's all.
Trustees?
Your application said midnight, but you're saying you'll have it off by 10?
The
That's
music,
what our
yeah.
ordinance usually says is 10.
Yeah, the music will be off by 10, give us time to clean up, put the kids to bed. You know, and then,
It'll be the neighbors on the other side of the block who let you know,
right.
unless you invite them. Okay, trustees, we have any questions relative to this?
I'll give it a motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Forsythe, second by trustee Hack to approve the request, there's two things here. The special event permit and the amplifier permit. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
And Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Okay. Have a good time.
Thank you.
We have another request for an amplifier. Bill Prescott. Come on up to the microphone. Tell us about the grand opening and event that you want to hold.
Yeah, how you guys doing, ladies and of course gentlemen? We're having a grand opening on May 30th. It's gonna be called the Shindig, and we are having a band.
Okay.
As opposed to just a walk through the place. We have the Crank Daddies come into play, hence the name Crank Daddies, so I figured we needed the amplifier rule in play. So, expected to be there, everybody, so you know. But I'm hoping that you guys grant it, or I'm gonna have to have a lot of people in the house.
You said that there'd be a car show or something with that? Are you?
Well, we have a lot of people, and we have a lot of people in our web of friends that are in car clubs, so there's gonna be tons of old cars there.
Okay, so
There's
it's
not
not-
actually gonna be a car show, just a lot of old cars there.
Okay, so you're not, it's not like the car show that we have downtown every summer in terms of, it's not organized to give out awards or anything like that, it's just basically,
No, everyone's just basically just gonna be parking and just walk
Okay.
past, take a look at it. We're not judging anything or anything of that nature.
okay.
Cousin Andy.
Also mechanic,
I
right there.
know, I've seen you. I've seen you both.
He's probably gonna have to work on cars while we're actually having fun, because these cars are all old.
That's why they're greasy cheap.
Yes.
Okay, trustees, you have any questions?
I'll put forward a motion for the special event and the amplifier permit.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Forsythe, second by trustee Hupkey to approve the request for the special event permit and the amplifier. And I note for the record that this event runs from noon till 9 o'clock. So certainly won't have a lot of complaints at 9 o'clock at night, I hope, relative to noise. So clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries and both permits are granted and we wish you well and we'll look forward to the, I know, among others, we'll look forward to the car show. Cars there.
Thanks, gentlemen and lady.
If I may, real quick, Mr. Presto, one thing.
Yes, sir.
You came before us several months ago when you were opening your business, and we imposed certain restrictions on you that may not be consistent with some of your competitors. I wanted to encourage you that if that was an issue for you, bring it back to the board. And
Not at all.
Just putting it out there for you.
No, everything, no, it was just, that was just formality just to see, I wasn't complaining by any means.
That's fine, I'm just letting you know.
Awesome,
Bring
thank
it
you.
back to the board, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. The next item is the special event permit for the Devil Dash 5K run on May 16th. Somebody here for that one? Okay, having, oh, no, I got that. I jumped ahead of myself. All right, so, this is the same route I think that they've used over the past several years, isn't it?
It's the same one they used last year, I believe.
Yeah. And this goes from 8 AM till the last runner comes in, which hopefully will be before noon, on the streets as noted. And is there a motion to?
Motion.
The,
Second.
okay, motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by trustee Hupkey to grant the Devil Dash 5K run special event permit for May 6th, 16th, rather, 2015. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Ricker?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
And Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries, and the Devil Dash 5K run on May 16th is approved. We have two items coming up now dealing with fence variants. The first one, is somebody here from 501 Amsterdam? Yes. You want to come up to the microphone? George, want to go through this?
Yeah, Mr. Clinton Niflin owns a corner lot on 501 Amsterdam Lane. The lot is trapezoidal and rounded in shape. He wishes to install a PVC privacy fence that extends to some of the perimeter lot lines. 4.5 feet of the fence will be private with a 1.5-foot top lattice. After reviewing the application, it appears the following design items need variances. 1, variance from the requirement to extend the fence to the perimeter lot lines. Installation of a privacy fence. And 3, a portion of the fence will extend beyond the front of the house as defined by ordinance. An additional consideration is the encroachment of the fence into the side or second front yard. As with all corner lots, the property has 2 front yard setbacks, both yards that abut a street. Proposed fence encroaches into the side front setback. Scaling from the platted survey, the fence will be approximately 20 feet from the sidewalk on Mill Street. The intersection of Mill and Amsterdam is unique in that it has a divided median containing a rail fence. The fence may force drivers eastbound on Amsterdam far enough into the intersection so as to negate any side obstructions from the proposed fence. So basically, the requested variance, 1, he is not extending, particularly on the west side of the property, he's not extending all the way to the property line. 2, he's installing a privacy fence. And 3, our ordinance, our fence ordinance defines the front of the house as that which has 50% of the front elevation. I think he misses it by like 2 or 3 feet of actually being in his garage extends out from his house, and that is less frontage than the actual house itself. So even though he's coming up, as you see on the plat, to match the garage, he is in fact in front of what we by ordinance define as the front of the house.
I have a comment about the last sentence, that this fence may force drivers eastbound on Amsterdam far enough into the intersection as to negate any site obstruction from the proposed fence. I don't believe it does. I actually went to that site. I actually waited for a car. I haven't had time. I would have printed it up, but I did take a photograph. There's plenty of room on either side, whether you're going to turn left or you're going to turn right, to see any of that traffic. Anybody wants to see this photograph, I'd be more than happy to pass it around to them.
And the distance from the sidewalk to the fence line is 20 feet?
Because you have, I mean, if you want to pass this around, so.
Well, I should have been more specific in that sentence. The fence I'm referring to is actually the rail fence in the median that forces you up
Even
where
with
it
that
wouldn't be
picture.
blocking that.
Yeah,
Even with
if
that picture, you could see that picture that
Yeah.
with the van coming, when you're sitting just maybe about a half a foot past that stop sign, you could see more than traffic. And it's not like the traffic's traveling 40 miles an hour either.
Okay.
Being the unique lot lines we have on this property, I don't have a problem with this. I see, I go past it.
Anything else, trustees?
No, I would make a motion that we approve that fence variance on 501 Amsterdam.
Okay. Motion by trustee Hupkey, second by trustee Forsythe to approve the fence variance at 501 Amsterdam. This would be resolution 15-R01. Please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. And Mr.
Yes.
Riker.
Okay, motion carries, and resolution R 15-R01, fence variation for 501 Amsterdam Lane is approved. Next item is another unique circumstance. Fence variance for 110 Ashburton Lane. Is anybody here from Ashburton Lane? Okay. George, do you want to go through this?
Brian and Michelle Wheat, 110 Ashburton Lane, are requesting a fence variance to install a privacy fence along the rear lot line. Their neighbor has an existing fence, and they wish to match their neighbor's fence on the side yards. This is a through lot, the front and rear yard both abut a street. In this case, the rear yard abuts Rathje Road. Petitioners wish to install a 6-foot privacy fence along their rear lot line next to Rathje Road. The remainder of the fence would be 6-foot semi-private fencing. The application indicates the rear fence would be installed on the house side of the rear easement. However, the neighbor's fence is placed on the rear property line. Subsequent correspondence with petitioners indicates they wish to match the neighbor's installation, placing the fence on the rear property line. So basically, the variance that is required is for installation of the privacy fence.
Motion. Second. Motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by trustee Hack to approve the application for a fence variance at 110 Ashburton Lane. This would be resolution 15-R02. Wade, did you have a? No. Okay. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, and resolution 15-R02, fence variance for 110 Ashburton Lane is hereby approved. Next item on the agenda, moratorium on certain development fees. George?
Following deliberation at several meetings, the board directed the village attorney to prepare an ordinance placing a moratorium on certain village development fees. Specifically, the fees subject to the moratorium are the village building, police, water, and sewer development fees. The fees to be waived with a total $7,571. Fees due to other governmental bodies remain in place. The builder must sign a certification that construction will begin in less than 30 days, and also that the amount of the fees will be passed on to the buyer either in the form of a credit on the purchase price or extras selected by the buyer. The person building their own home must sign a certificate that they will reside in the home after completing construction, and also the building will begin in less than 30 days. Only existing vacant lots ready for building are eligible for the moratorium. The moratorium is for new single-family construction only and is in place for a period of 2 years to be reviewed annually.
Trustees, any questions?
The only question I have is the person building their own homes must sign a certificate to reside in the home after completing construction. Is there a basis on that?
Say that again.
Is there a basis on that requirement? Why are we asking that they reside in that home after construction is complete, after building it themselves?
Good question. I don't know.
I mean, is that a standard line?
Well, because if they don't reside in it, then they're a builder, and they shouldn't be exempt anyway. They're no longer,
Right, we're
otherwise-
just trying to
So
differentiate
you're
the two
just
situations.
asking them to identify themselves as a, okay, that's fine.
they're building their own home and plan to live there.
Trustees, if that fits your description of what you would, based on the conversations that we have been having over the last several meetings, this would be ordinance 15-01, establishing a moratorium on certain development fees. Is there a motion to approve resolution, or ordinance 15-01.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Reichert, seconded by trustee Forsythe, to approve ordinance 15-01, establishing a moratorium on certain development fees. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Motion carries and ordinance is adopted.
I do have a question for, it's an application question. We currently have one building, new single-family building permit that would be eligible
Qualified.
for this program in process. And I just want to determine whether, do they fall under this ordinance, and are those fees being waived for that permit application?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say, they put their application in for a building permit, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make clear that that's the desire of the board.
All right. The next item has to do with the supplements that we have to approve every so often, adding the changes that we've made, additions in ordinances, revisions over the past several months. And this would be ordinance 15-02, enacting and adopting a supplement to the Code of Ordinances, officially putting it in the code book, for the Village of Peotone. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 15-02, adopting the supplement to the Code of Ordinances?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by trustee Hupkey, to approve ordinance 15-02, enacting and adopting a supplement to the Code of Ordinances for the Village of Peotone. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries and ordinance 15-02 is officially approved. Next item, trustees, is the adoption of the operating budget for the coming year. George?
Staff presents the draft fiscal year 15-16 operating budget. Budget is the product of input from the public, department heads, trustees, and administrative staff, and conforms to the long-range capital improvement plan. There's been much public discussion regarding the impact of state policies to reduce the state deficit will have on municipalities. A proposal to reduce local government distributive funds has been avoided in the short term. However, an even larger deficit looms at the state fiscal year beginning July 1. Both governor and legislative leaders have indicated reductions in distributions to cities and villages in some form are under strong consideration. Some communities have addressed the problem by proposing a budget without funding reductions while earmarking areas that might be cut later. However, state funding reductions impact the village not just by magnitude, in other words, how many dollars are removed, but also by timing. When do those restrictions come into place? Any changes taking effect July 1 would impact almost 3/4 of the upcoming village budget year. It would not be known until 3 months after the village budget is adopted. The second program taken by some villages is to build an anticipated reduction into the budget. If the state reductions do not materialize, the retained funds may be incorporated into the budget through supplemental appropriations. In other words, we could fold those funds back in if they are distributed to us at a later date. The proposed budget follows this program. In this manner, the village can have a higher confidence level that bills can be paid prior to beginning projects. Accordingly, this budget has been prepared projecting a $200,000 loss in revenue from state funds, which is the number that's most commonly bandied about. It should be noted the ability to incorporate a $200,000 loss in revenue is a singular accommodation. Projects and maintenance have been deferred. However, if revenue reductions do occur and continue past 1 year, serious budget and operational impacts will occur. The village ended fiscal year 2014 with reserves of $855,037. This reserve amount is in conformance with professional standards from the Government Finance Officers Association to maintain reserves equal to 3 to 6 months of operating expenses. While the attached memo from Village Treasurer Hammond provides an overview of fund balances established by the budget, I'd like to address some, but by no means all, of the projects funded by the budget. Under administration, operating expenses and rebates for economic development incentives. Police operating expenses, new computers and squad cars and offices, Eastcom funding through the communications budget, remodel evidence room, building department funding for completion of downtown development plan, funding for code enforcement, funding for building plan review and inspection, funding for the corridor grant. Streets and alleys, operating expenses, tree trimming removal, ash borer, mosquito abatement, Wilmington Road path sidewalk, which includes a state grant, transfer to vehicle service fund, leaf collection and snow removal, phase 3 of street sign replacement and upgrade, repairs of DPW work area, phase 2 engineering for Rathje Road improvements, repair Conrad Street culvert, lease a new dump truck snowplow, that's a shared cost with the water and sewer department, interest and debt payment for street debt certificates and part-time employees. Economic development, directional signage, corridor grant study, funding for business expo, downtown pilot program, mobile app. MFT, motor fuel tax, remaining payables on Rathje Road project, engineering for Route 50 Corning Avenue traffic light. That's a grant. Water and sewer fund, water department operating expenses, update the water atlas, well house repairs, replace old hydrants, continue meter replacement program, pull well if needed, transfer to vehicle service fund, and 25% of the new dump truck lease. Sewer department operating expenses, pipe manhole sealing, funding for amendment to facility planning area, new dump truck lease, 25%, install blower shelter, wastewater treatment plant furnace, and transfer to vehicle service fund. Capital improvement. Note this fund's sole revenue stream is development fees collected with new residential and commercial building permits. Mill improvements, land acquisition for a well or tower if necessary, AC unit for the village hall, Peotone welcome sign, computers if necessary, copy machine if necessary, be transferred the wastewater treatment plant board building to the capital improvement fund, emergency generator for Wilmington Road lift station. That project's been started, but we've not received any bills for it. It's still waiting on NICOR service. As per the attached memo from Treasurer Hammond, the general fund shows a projected year-end balance of $12,481. The water and sewer fund is projected to have a year-end balance of $3,173. Historically, the village estimates expenses high and revenues low, therefore the final year-end balances are usually higher than projections. Some line items are included in the budget just in the event something unexpected occurs. If adopted, this operating budget will be used to generate the appropriations ordinance.
Trustees, do we have any questions?
Are we going to discuss the motor fuel tax
Being
being reduced?
At this point in time, yeah, let me mention that. At this point in time, there's a temporary reduction in the March distribution of the motor fuel tax. We just got notified of it in the past week or so. And it's estimated to be $1 per person per capita for a population, which is just over $4,000. Now, we are told this is a one-time from the state, okay, in motor fuel tax. We're still getting, I don't remember what the rest of the distribution we would normally get at that time, but we're being reduced by 4,000 from that normal distribution. So, and getting back to the 200,000 that we adjusted out of this in case the local distributive, the income tax is impacted. At this point in time, if it's only 4,000, we can live with it. However, if the practice continues or gets greater, it will impact all the projects that relate to the expending of the motor fuel tax money. And those are specific type, it can only be used for specific projects. So it potentially could slow down some of those. Now, operating budgets are just that. They are the plan as to how we will spend our money. The actual, the appropriation ordinance is the actual allotting of all those money, and that's what we amend from time to time if we have to adjust according to the rules that apply in accounting and by the state to adjust transfers or movements of funds within particular areas. So this is our basic plan and intention, and that's what a budget is. So, other questions?
I make a motion, we accept the operating budget for the year 15-16.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Forsythe, to approve the adoption of the FY 15-16 operating budget. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Forsyth.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries, and the operating budget for 15-16 is officially adopted. Next item on the agenda is the authorization to discuss transferring the jurisdictional authority of portions of Wilmington Road from the county to the village of Peotone. George?
This is a bit of a complex conversation. I think I'll have just a few remarks, and then if our village engineer wants to elaborate on some of the things that he's forwarded, we can do so, and then we'll take questions. The village has become aware of a problem for potential businesses obtaining access permits onto Wilmington Road. Wilmington Road is under the jurisdiction of the Will County Department of Transportation. It is also designated as Strategic Regional Arterial and SRA and FAU Federal Aid Urban. The SRA designation carries with it restrictive access permissions as well as expanded right-of-way dedications. It appears the next step would be for the village to approach Will County DOT to find out if they would support the village's effort to petition to IDOT-CMAP to fully remove the SRA designation east of I-57. If the jurisdictional transfer were to take place, they would probably support the SRA removal since they would appear favorable to doing the jurisdictional transfer. Village would also need to ask Will County DOT if they would be willing to participate financially in improvements to the road as part of the transfer. Public Works and you see some of the costs that are anticipated from the engineer. Public Works could accommodate most of the short-term maintenance, though striping and crack sealing would need to be completed by a vendor. Snow plowing will require 2 snow plow crews operating in tandem. This operation will temporarily pull 2 plows off of existing streets. Staff estimates an additional 100 tons of salt will be required, although that will vary greatly from winter to winter. At current salt costs, an additional $13,000 per year would be needed. Additional annual, biannual maintenance functions could be incorporated into the routine operating schedule. Engineering costs relative to the transfer would be $2,000 to $4,000 depending on the number of meetings. Though I did have a question, Troy. Does that include, it sounds like we're going to have to go before CMAP. Is that $2,000 to $4,000 including the potential to going before CMAP, or is that just talking to Will County DOT?
That could be CMAP as well, but we really just aren't sure what they're really gonna ask of us, so.
That's my
It's kinda
point.
general, that's why I said, $1,000 to $2,000, but I think that would cover the CMAP meeting as well, if there were a couple meetings, yes.
Troy, do you want to expand upon some of the things you've commented on here?
Sure. As George said, SRA stands for Strategic Regional Arterial. So these were, they're major routes. The goal of them is to restrict access, not to restrict access, but to make it, a safer, less access points so traffic can go through quickly on and safely. This is also a truck route, Class 2 truck route. We might want to get that removed, but which doesn't really affect if trucks can go on the road or not. It really doesn't mean much because all roads can technically handle the 80,000-pound trucks now. Let's see. Like George said, I think the first step is we have to talk to Will County Division of Transportation, find out if they would agree that to remove the SRA designation, that'd be the first step. And they may not want to do that until the transfer takes place, if it takes place. The other thing, if we want to go through with the SRA removal, we'd want to petition to IDOT and CMAP and maybe prepare some exhibits and give them any background information. I don't know if you want me to go through any of those costs for long-term.
I think that, you've identified typical resurfacing job, typical reconstruction widening. from 57 to Rathje Road, typical reconstruction widening Rathje Road to 50. Future traffic signal at that intersection at Rathje Road, future traffic signal at Illinois Route 50. Possible future street lighting project, possible future bike paths or sidewalks. I think one thing we need to make clear, and tell me if I misunderstand this, a simple jurisdiction doesn't release all of the access restrictions, and it needs to be pulled off of the SRA for that to happen.
That's where it's kind of a gray area.
Mm-hmm.
Will County will not enforce the access restrictions that are currently there because it will be Peotone's road. If it was still an SRA, it doesn't look like anyone's gonna come out and stop Peotone from providing the access points. But if you wanna go through the proper channels, we think it'd be good practice to attempt to get the SRA removed.
Troy, if we do the transfer and they do remove the SRA, can we still apply for the FAU for maintenance?
Yeah, when we would go through the transfer, we would try to make a note in there to keep the FAU status. And if for some reason it had to go away, which I don't see that happening, it could be reapplied for. But we would hope to just keep it in place.
Other questions, trustees?
I think if we can keep the federal aid and classification in there, it's something we need to look into and go forward with, removing the SRA route.
Any other trustees want to comment? Okay, what we're looking for at this time then is authorization to proceed with formal discussions with the Will County Department of Transportation to pursue a jurisdictional transfer of the Wilmington Road. And if I understand that wording correctly, that means subject to approval of that transfer at a future time?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
This is just to initiate
This is
the process.
Start the discussion, okay? So all we're doing now is officially starting the discussion based on the reasons that we've stated here, so that should this bear out the way we think it will go and the benefits to us, as well as the liabilities, we could officially make a decision at that time. Okay, so, would somebody motion to authorize us to proceed with the formal discussions, Will County Department of Transportation to pursue jurisdictional transfer of Wilmington Road?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hack, seconded by trustee Hupkey to approve authorization. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forsyth?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, and we will start the talks. Next item on the agenda is the liquor license renewals. And do we do the tobacco stuff separate or as part of that?
That's FYI.
Oh, that's an FYI? Okay. So the liquor license applications as listed in your packet, these are the ones up for renewal. And the only new one is the Fire Pit Bar and Grill. Everybody else is somebody who's had, yeah, everybody else has had one from us prior to this.
Sammy?
Sammy?
Sammy.
Sammy?
Yeah, we did that at the end last year, I think. So.
Right, but they had one, so this is,
Yes. I
this is the only new license, first issue. That sound good? First issue.
That we did her too.
Did we do her?
Yeah. The end
Okay.
of last.
So everybody's had one before. Moving on. Is there a motion to approve the continuance of the liquor license applications as listed there?
Motion.
Okay, motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by trustee
Second.
Hupkey, to approve the liquor license applications as listed in the agenda. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Riker?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker? Yes. Mr. Hack?
Yes.
And Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries and those liquor licenses are renewed. Next item is continued discussion of the snow clearing in the downtown sidewalks. George, you want to go through all that?
Staff has done additional fact-finding on clearing snow from downtown sidewalks. We reviewed snow data from the last 4 winters. The data was compiled from PeotoneWeather.com, operated by Mr. David Sommerfeld. We've tabulated the data into total events, events exceeding 2 inches and events exceeding 6 inches. If events occurred on 2 consecutive days but were below a 2-inch threshold, the data was combined into one event. In other words, half an inch one day plus 1.75 day 2 equals 2.55 storm total. Because we're trying to look at the real world, not discrete data points. It was a 2¼ inch storm. Winter of 2011-12 were 16 total events, 2 events of 2 inches or more, 2 events of 6 inches or more. Winter of 12-13, 17 total events, 3 of 2 inches or more, 1 of 6 inches or more. Winter of 13-14, 25 total events, 11 of 2 inches or more, 3 of 6 inches or more. Winter 14-15, 14 total events, 4 of 2 inches or more, 1 of 6 inches or more. Staff's evaluated the several options for clearing snow from the sidewalk. The stated goal of the project, if pursued, is not simply to clear the sidewalks. Shoveling the snow to the curb does not address the comments brought to the board. The goal is also to clear the curb and therefore the street. The options reviewed include: 1 is A, privatize, hire a private firm to clear the sidewalks. Conversations with the private firm indicated they would clear the snow from the sidewalk by pushing it to the curb. The firm would need to work simultaneously with village personnel and equipment to clear the curb and street. B, hire part-time laborers. The village would hire a part-time laborer to operate the snow blower and move the snow to the curb. The snow would then be collected by village equipment for storage and eventual disposal. The village cannot justify hiring a regularly scheduled part-time employee in the winter months. Therefore, the laborer would need to be on more of an on-call status for those snow events qualifying for action. As with all options, work would need to be coordinated with a full-time public works employee to operate equipment to clear the curb and street. C, work is completed by existing village staff. In this program, regular village staff will clear the sidewalks with a snow blower in cooperation with additional village equipment to clear the curb and street. The term snow blower used in these last 2 options, B and C, describes the use of an existing John Deere tractor with addition of a cab and a 47-inch snow blower. The cost of the additional equipment is approximately $4,800. In snow events, all 5 public works employees are plowing village streets. Therefore, no one is available to clear sidewalks, curbs until local streets are under control. For logistic purposes, downtown streets must be clear of cars for they are to be cleared effectively. For these reasons, there would probably be a time lag from the end of the snowfall to the time sidewalks are cleared. To institute the program, the board need to determine A, the geographic area of the program, and B, the event trigger, how much snow must fall, and C, the method used to complete the work.
All right, trustees. What are your thoughts? First, geographic area of the program.
I personally think the budget's the first thing we needed to consider here. We just talked about motor fuel tax, possibly losing money, possibly $200,000. Now we're talking about assuming a roadway that's going to require $13,000 additional funds. I'm not opposed to this program, specifically C, but I don't think that we should make that decision yet without knowing where we're moving forward on this road program and stuff like that.
Other trustees.
I'm kind of with trustee Forsythe. I still don't know what the answer is. I think we need to address it somehow, but I can tell you for sure, either privatizing or hiring part-time on-call guys doesn't work from experience.
I can tell you that also.
An on-call guy might show up once or twice, but the only thing I found with our on-call guys is if you give them so many hours a week where they can come in and do maintenance or wash trucks or whatever, they'll show up. But if you're just expecting them to just show up for snow, you might as well keep looking.
Okay. Steve, I see your... Sure, go ahead.
You know, one of the things that I brought up initially, you know, when this whole conversation started 1.5 years ago, was, is there any way to make the building owners responsible for removing the snow? You know, I still think the bulk of your people downtown, you know, are still clearing their sidewalks. The issue And the thing that I kept trying to make a point of are the ones that aren't moving the snow. So I mean, the least expensive option still is making those building owners responsible for moving the snow off the sidewalks. It was never, I guess my major point was never to make the village responsible for moving the snow. My point was, if you're not gonna make the building owners move it, then we have to come up with a plan. But, you know, I mean, that's an option that I haven't heard discussed lately. And I don't know if legal has talked about that, or, you know, if that issue or if that option has been fully looked at. But,
And
you know.
then how do you enforce, how
That's
do you make the building owners pay their fines? Just like how do you make building owners pay for past due water bills or past due any type of bills that they may have? How do you enforce
Well,
that?
how do the villages that require their residents to shovel their sidewalks, how do they enforce it? I mean, you know, there's gotta be some kind of.
Hold the building owners
Right,
responsible.
there's gotta be some kind of enforcement possibility,
We just
but
gotta figure out the
I don't
cost in
know.
that. I mean, if we're taking people to court over
This
snow
is-
removal, I mean, how much you're spending in legal fees on that? I mean, that'd be something. to do.
Because
But is
it's
it
like,
something that can be done by ordinance, and then if it's violated, you know, a ticket is issued? It's not necessarily taking them to court, but it becomes an enforcement issue.
Like place a lien on the property or something?
I'm just asking the question. I mean,
I would
that's,
suspect it would follow the same penalty clauses. We have the same penalty clause throughout almost all the ordinance.
With
All the
weeds, we got
code.
the same penalty clause we got with weeds, lawns.
Yeah.
Got the same problem. So you'll fine them if they pay the fee or not, you're.
but
you're the last
then again,
person to
if you find them and it's still not being moved, we're back to the same issue.
Bingo.
Correct.
But it's just, I just wanted to bring that up.
At that point in time, some action was taken.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that we've fully explored the ability of the village to impose this. I think there's possibly some issues as a non-home rule community with trying to impose that obligations on the business owners, but it's certainly something that we can get you an answer to in short order if you want to look at that. But then you're correct, if we did that, and the enforcement would be that you would issue a citation just like any other citation. The weed cutting is a good example, except we have specific authorization for that under state law to cut the grass if they don't and then lien their property. Whereas I think we would have some issues with the ability to impose the liens in this case.
Now, if we go down that route, are we limiting that to downtown? Or is that gonna apply to Casey's, the car wash, all the residents in town that, you know, there's people that don't shovel their sidewalks?
I mean, if we're gonna compel people to shovel sidewalks, then where do you draw the line?
Right.
Well, the reason the downtown was being discussed is because the only place for that snow to go, you know, is the street. And there's gotta be some kind of coordinated effort between either the business owners, the building owners, moving the snow from the sidewalk to the street, or the village moving the snow from the sidewalk to the street and removing it from the downtown area so people can get out of their cars and access the sidewalk. Because as, you know, this was stated, you know, that's one part, is getting the snow off the sidewalk. The second part is getting it off of the street.
Right, it's gotta be a combined effort. I mean,
Yes.
that's the worst part,
Right.
because you're gonna be pushing it and then people have to try to walk over it.
Residential is a completely different subject, you know, I mean, then you see people walking in the street and that becomes a safety issue and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can go down that path if
I
you
have
want to.
another question. Why are you the only business owner that comes here and asks about this?
I don't know. I don't have a good
I mean,
answer.
I don't mean that.
I guess
you know.
because, you know, I'm shoveling
Yeah,
in front of
right,
both of my
yes, yes.
buildings, and then I'm shoveling in front of 4 other buildings also, because I'm trying to keep the sidewalk open so my business can be accessed.
Mr. March, how do you take care of your business, if you don't mind me asking? Privatize?
I shovel my own sidewalk, but I have a plow.
He has a guy with a plow that does it, I know
But I
the
mean,
guy.
but you do, yeah.
Very good guy.
But you
And
do
we shove
shovel.
shovelers too.
Yes.
You do, yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, like I said, I don't have a problem taking care of my own sidewalk. I have a problem when other people aren't.
I would just
And
say-
it causes, you know,
I would just not like to
problems.
see that the village has to take its residents' money in taxes to pay for businesses that, or building owners that are just neglectful.
I agree. I agree, Roy. I totally agree. And when I brought this issue to the board a year and a half ago, you know, I wasn't trying to compel the village to be responsible for moving the snow. I was trying to compel the business to take some action, one way or the other.
Do you want legal to research the ability, the non-home rule ability to impose?
Sure, then in essence, what we've done is we've explored that option and we know all the ins and outs of that particular option.
We need to explore every possible option.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't snow again this year.
I stopped counting.
All right, so the policy direction appears to be direct legal to research the enforcement on the business owners. Or whatever way it's got to be written. If it can't be written just for business owners, then it has to be written for everybody, I suppose.
Provide options.
Yeah, provide the options.
Okay. Talking the downtown area with no, for building from lot line to lot line. That's the problem we've got there.
Right.
That's how you designate that.
All right. The last topic on the agenda, I believe. Do you have any correspondence, communications? Any due dates?
End of the month, water bill.
Okay, water bills due at the end of the month. Water, the usual. Okay. That's it.
Just one thing, since Chief's here, I think it was about 2 weeks back, Officer Morse and Officer Stankus took time out of their day to eat lunch with the children at the elementary school. I think it was awesome, and I've heard nothing but positive feedback. And the only reason I want to bring it up is I'd like to see us do this more, once a month at least. And maybe you send another, 2 different officers every time.
That's,
The response was awesome.
I know,
think
well,
the Facebook
and I was
was-
glad that my certain people didn't break the chairs to eat on at the elementary school, because I warned them before I left, I don't wanna get a ambulance call, they're stuck in the chairs. So so they were, I did get a lot of positive feedback, and, the calendar moves so quick. And, you've got all these plans, you're trying to work on days, and then, we had a moment, and I said, hey, today I volunteered you guys and go over and have lunch, and I've tried to, then they go on school break, for the spring break, and our plan is to try to get to all the schools on a more regular basis. We've been in junior high, but the mini-me's for the elementary school, they attacked the kids, and of course they had, they got to eat with them, and I think they had something, and they're like, wow, that was pretty exciting. But I told them to bring hot sauce next if they wanted to spice up the school lunches. But, I did get a lot of positives and some postings from the school of those guys sitting there, and so yeah, it was just it's been on the back of my mind trying to get our people to interact. We're actually going to be at opening day running opening day for baseball, a couple weeks. We're going to be running a radar gun episode. The people talked to us, we made arrangements, so we got the squad car there. We're going to be seeing who throws what dads throw their arm out, trying to beat the radar gun. That'll be the only time we can do radar guns and not write tickets, for speeding, because we're setting that up for the schools. So I got some officers showing up for that day to.
It was just a ploy to make sure that your gun's calibrated correctly.
Oh, it'll make a difference. Yeah. So, we're trying to interact and be there, and like I said, it's just, unfortunately, time goes so quick. Here it is, we had a break and you had the right time. I mean, we're doing the grade school, so we have officers in the school each week at the junior high teaching that gang resistance education program that's got positives. And I tried to, I'm penciling in some time because I know Green Garden with that age group of all Peotone children mostly, we want to go out there and intermingle because those are our kids too. So my guys want to know what they're serving for lunch. I told them to start brown bagging it. But, we're trying to do more and more of that, and it's on our agenda. Like I said, I was just glad they didn't break any of the furniture at the school. They called me because they thought they had the kids calm down for the morning start. And then the police walked in, the place went up for grabs.
Officer Stankus did a great job with the Girl Scouts and the Cub Scouts this year too. He was involved in both of those meet and greets here, and he did a great job. Great PR guy.
I just think it was awesome. My kids thought it was the best thing in the world, so.
Well, like I said, all of us are
Thank
big
you for you
kids
and your
at
guys.
times. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's on our agenda to be more and more out there and be there, and then the positive aspect instead of the enforcement aspect. Like I said, I warned the guys before they go over there, They wonder what a couple of them called me and like, what'd I do to have to go there? I said, you get to smile. I threatened to put them in a rough outfit, and I thought they'd melt to death, but they decided to go in uniform and do what they had to do.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up, both of you. Anything else? All right, hearing nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the April 13, 2015 Village of Peotone Board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Hack to adjourn the April 13, 2015 Village of Peotone Board meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
Mr. Rick.
Yes.
Tell me if I got
Motion carries, meeting adjourned.